How's it going? So I got a good one for you today. This one is on training methods. So this training here is going to separate you from people who have been in the gym training for years with no progress. If you can master these concepts in 3 to 4 months, you will make more progress than these other people have had in over 2 years, right? There are so many people that are just doing the same thing at the gym for years, right? And their body adapts, right? They haven't had any change. They haven't had results in years. They're frustrated, right? And I want you guys to ask follow-up questions. Understanding this is going to be crucial for working with me and working, with yourself after this program. So there's two types of training methods here. So progressive overload, right? This is the idea that you must constantly challenge your body to gain strength, right? If you're, what this means is, right, either increasing weight, increasing reps, or increasing intensity. So, weight and reps are pretty obvious, right? But intensity really is talking about, when you're at the gym and you're just like, boom, 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 banging out your reps. Like you're not that engaged, right? You're just kind of banging them out and you're done. You're sitting there. You're not that tired, right? Intensity is really real reps, right? Controlled motion. Say you're doing a chest press. We're going to talk about that a lot today. Controlled motion forward, squeezing your pecs at the top, right? Slow on the way down, breathing heavy, right? That's your intensity. Aim for, intention and muscle engagement, and you're going to move your RPE from maybe a 4 to like a 7 or an 8. Right. And so that's what we're talking about with this. If you do the same thing over and over, your body has no reason to change. Right. So we need to increase reps and intensity over time. That leads us to the next idea of double progression. So this method has you increase your reps first and then your weight. So if your rep range is 8 to 12 reps, which you'll see, in your app, don't increase the weight until you can hit 12 clean reps in a row. Then increase your weight, and the reps are going to drop off, which is fine. That's normal. Then you're going to work your way back to those 12 reps. So I think there's this idea that you need to change your workouts like every week. And I want to debunk this myth for you right here. So it's not true, right? Consistency and progression is better than, a variety just for having a variety. So we do, when you work with me, is we work in phases. So we usually have 3 phases, I think is most programs, but it can go all the way up, through 7 to 10 different phases of workouts. And, that's usually one phase around 4 weeks. So you're doing the same workout for 4 weeks. So I want to give you an example of double progression in action. So say you're supposed to be doing 12 reps, right? That's what's in your app, 12 reps. You come to the gym, we're going to talk about the dumbbell chest press, right? So dumbbells laying flat on the flat bench doing a chest press. You start with 35 pounds and you get 12 reps. Then you do your rest, right? Then you do your second set, you do 35 pounds for 12 again. Now you say to yourself, all right, I probably had a couple more reps in me, so why don't I increase the weight? So you increase the weight to 40 and your reps fall off to 9. That's a good thing. It's okay that they weren't at 12 because you've increased your weight. So the next week, now you start with 40 pounds. Say you do 12 reps to start, then you fall off to 11, and then you fall off to 9. That's okay. That's progress, right? That is progress because last week you started with 35. Now, you're not going to increase your weight here because you didn't hit your 12 reps for your 3 sets. So now the next week, you're going to start with the 40 pounds again for 12 reps. Second set, you now hit 12 reps. And then your third set, you now hit 12 reps. So now you hit all sets with your 12 reps. So now it's time to increase the weight. So the next time you come to the gym, you up to 45. You do 10 reps first, 9 reps, and then 7. All right, so now we're not going to up our reps again. We're not going to up our weight again. We're going to keep going with that weight until we hit 12. Stick with that 45 pounds, right? And keep building those reps up. That's what double progression looks like. This is an example. I took a screenshot from the app. One of my clients, they did a dumbbell incline bench press, 12 reps, just like we're talking about, right? They were using 20 pounds and they did 3 sets of 12 reps. So I believe the week before they also did the same thing. So this should tell you, now that you've learned this, right? If you do 12 reps for all 3 sets, that's your key. Okay, next time I do this, I'm going to increase my weight until I can do 12 reps all 3 times. So eventually, though, progress will slow down. You can't infinitely increase the weight, right? The human body only has a certain capacity, right? So that's why we go in phases and we adjust the exercise for a new stimulus. So say phase 1, you're doing your dumbbell chest press, right? You're lying on your bench doing a dumbbell chest press. You do that for 4 weeks. You up your weight, each week. Things are looking good. Eventually, we're going on to phase 2. So phase 2, what we might do is we might throw in a stability ball chest press, right? That's if you're doing 45s on the bench press with the dumbbell, you go to a stability ball, you're going to have a hard time with the 45 pounds because you're going to be moving all over. You're trying to keep your core steady. You're going to have different, your weight may drop, right? So now say you drop down to 30 pounds. You're doing that chest press, right? Week over week, 4 weeks go by, you're going to increase that weight. Then we go now to the next phase. Maybe we'll increase that to a barbell, right? So now it's a different challenge, right? But it's the same movement pattern, but you're using different muscles, right? So over time, you're still increasing that weight. Now, say phase 4, we go back to that dumbbell chest press. You're going to get back on there and you're going to see you did 45, and that 45 pounds is going to feel like nothing, right? You might be able to increase it right off the bat. So that's the idea of double progression with, changing with these phases, right? I mean, I'm sure we all know someone. I used to be the guy that would go to the gym and do a dumbbell chest press or a barbell bench press. Every single Monday was my chest day. And eventually you just kind of hit a roadblock. So by varying this, you're going to see so much progress. So we're going to stick to the same sequence for at least 4 to 5 weeks to allow for proper overload and progression of the weight. Then we'll switch the exercise for a new challenge. What goes along with this as well, right, is hitting your protein goals, right, and getting good sleep. You need to have that's how your body's going to repair and grow from the damage that we're doing when we work out. So again, I want you to ask questions, please, if you're unsure. Track your weights with purpose, right, not just routine. And there's a reason behind every rep and every set and every weight that you do. So I really hope that this helped. I hope that gives you an understanding of when you see this in the gym, we want to focus towards progressing that weight because that's where the progress really happens. So I hope this helped. Please reach out with any questions and have a great day.